That's just a symptom.
Yeah, but I also like to make a general comment. It seems to me that from a literary point of view, one of the great avenues of potential exploration is the fact that if you were writing a character about a woman who is archetype of our generation, she would want the power because that's what she has learned to expect intellectually, but she still has that cultural conditioning from when she's very, very young to be taken care of.
Well, I think that what it is that
to me, I always see women in a lot of conflict between the two modes that they should be.
I think that every human being would like to have as much behavioral flexibility as possible. I think you would like to have the maximum amount of power and also be taken care of if you happen not to be able to exercise that power or choose not to. That you're going to want both. It's just that, women would like to expand their range of actions rather than shifting from one range of actions to another. It's a matter of just having more options.
And by the way, there is a trend in psychology now that believes that it is a stronger desire for women to take care of than to be taken care of, which is an interesting idea.
Yes.
And since history,
that would jive.
Since history in the past has been written by a lot of male historians, now this is starting, as women are writing, more of this is coming out.
Okay, sir.
This makes sense to me, too. I have one more question, and I'll hang up real quick. This is for you, Steve. In your books, The Kundalini Equation and Gorgon Child, you talk about the roots of the martial arts in India, and I know of two other books, historical books, that talk about this, and I'm looking for more material.
I don't know of those books. What are they?
The Way of the Warrior.
Oh, John F. Gilby?
I believe so. I don't have the book in front of me.
Okay, what's the other one?
And Comprehensive Asian Fighting Arts.
Comprehensive Asian Fighting Arts, Don F. Drager and Robert W. Smith?
And they touch on it, but they don't go into depth.
Yeah.
I don't think you know enough about this subject, Steve.
No.
Yeah,
Steve just ripped off his shirt and looked, and there was a bibliography painted, tattooed to his chest. You heard it here first.
I don't know of more off the top of my head. You might want to take a look at the Bhagavad Gita, because there is some material in there that deals with warrior gods, and if you you also want to take a look into Indonesian Pencak Silat for an idea of what those original arts might have been. There's also an Indian martial art called Kalarapayat.
Yes, and also Vajramushti, too.
I don't know much about that. And we've got to take more calls.
Put your shirt on, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening. You're an hour 25.
Evening.
Yes.
Let me turn this down so you won't get
oh, we like that idea.
in your ear. I like this discussion. I thought it was fascinating because of, naturally, I always think about this sort of thing. Being a woman, I suppose, or being a human being.
Yes.
You've probably heard of Deborah Tannen, haven't you?
Name sounds familiar. She wrote Why Don't You Understand Me or something like that?
No, she wrote a book called You Just Don't Understand.
Right, You Just Don't Understand Me.
That's the one I was talking about.
Book before that.
She's a PhD. It's a fairly dry book, but it's very scholarly. It's very well reasoned.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, the way she describes how men talk or how women talk, and the thing is, as I say, I'm a blind person, so I am not subject to looking at the subliminal advertisements. I just get stuck.
Well, you get hit with the sound. They will hit on those channels too. These guys have been studying neurolinguistic programming for the last 10 years, and they are operating on all the channels they can.
Well, the thing that gets me now, of course, is there does seem to be a great emphasis, or at least there does seem to be, I'm getting interested in fashion now, which I didn't used to be. But the thing that I'm interested in is making my own fashion, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
And I'm hearing a lot of little things about, for example, status. That's a big word that's going on.
Stuffus?
I think she said status.
Status. Class. What's in, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And
now, okay, I'm not sure how this relates to our discussion. Could you?
I have an idea on this.
Okay, then keep going, please.
I have to point out that it sounds like you're getting interested in creating something and producing something. Okay.
Well, I'm getting interested in playing around with
I think that every man and woman in our society wants to leave something behind them, whether it's people who care about them, whether it's a world that's better because they lived in it. And I think the idea is that you don't have to procreate or you don't have to bequest children to the world. You can give something else. Now, you're creating clothing. That's a wonderful statement.
Well,
the world will try and mislead you and talk about fashion and status. Express yourself.
Yeah.
Don't express anybody else.
Well, the thing is, though, I think that I don't like being, I found that I do not like being told, well, if you buy this, you will appear classy. Or if you buy this, you will be in, or this is cute. Or
you find that offensive because... Why do you find that offensive?
Well, it's...
I mean, is it that you find it offensive? Someone says, if you buy this, you will be classy, or is it the implication if you don't buy this, you will be tacky?
I don't like snobbishness.
Right.
I don't, I dislike that. The only thing, as I see, what I want to know is what color is it? How do you take care of it? What does it look like?
Well, it sounds like you're not trying to be concerned with fashion. You're trying to be concerned with personal style.
Yeah,
that is different from fashion.
I'm interested in style. Now, I don't know. I had a conversation with a guy I know, and I talked to him about this, and I don't know how many women are there that will sit and talk to guys about what they think about what they wear, what they buy, why they get jewelry. I don't see guys talking that way to women.
No, they probably don't do that as much. They really might not.
It's not that this is the most important thing in the world. Understand me, but it's kind of fun if you're trying to get control of something that you didn't know about. Yeah. It's sort of like I'm trying to take control of how people see me. But in a sense,
I think you're missing the important part. How do you see
it? When you're a blind person, people are going to tell you that you want to make a good impression so that sighted people will feel comfortable or something like that. And then I get to the place and say, I don't give a damn. I want them to accommodate me somewhat, And so...
Well, I think that people will accommodate you...
Saying, I'm doing this for me, I'm not doing this for anybody else.
Okay, I think that first of all, you have a perfect right to do that. Secondly, I think that people will accommodate you generally to the degree that you will accommodate them or that you're producing something they want to trade for. We need to go on to the next call.
Enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Good evening, you're an hour 25.
Hi. I just want to mention two books that is relevant to what you're talking about. The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf, and also the book The Anatomy of Sex and Power by Michael Hutchinson.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a book to suggest back to him, Necessary Losses. Necessary Losses looks at both men and women's psychology from the point of view of what do you need to lose in order to grow, including assumptions, stereotypes, old feelings, et cetera, et cetera. So it takes the information that you're talking about there in those two books and puts a different spin on it.
Like it. Good evening, you're an hour 25.
There's another book that might be interested in sex and the male. And if I recall correctly, it's been quite a number of years since I read it, but I read a number of books along that vein at the same time. And the underlying theme seemed to be that males, human males, as well as males in most other species, with the exception of a few fishes in the animal kingdom, are the mechanism by which evolution works. Males are expendable. You don't need a whole lot of males.
Right.
One male can fertilize a lot of females. And so
over her dead body. No.
That's why the males have the sex gene that expresses the negative recessives and don't have the balancing extra gene that the females do that masks them. It's important the females survive and pass on the gene structure. They have the heavy investment in the pregnancy, etc. But the males, again, are expendable. And when you look at psychological characteristics as well as physical characteristics, my expectation is that over the billions of years of evolution, this sexual selection mechanism has been set up to put males out there in a competitive lose-or-win situation, whereas females tend to be preserved.
Okay, I think that, if you're going to have either females or males out there, dying, in the elements or down in the coal mines or whatever, then very clearly any society that puts its women at greater risk than its men voluntarily is going to be outbred by a society that puts its men out there, as what seemed to be your point, that you don't need as many men to get your population going.
Yeah, an obvious example would be caribou or deer, where you've got one male for a whole herd of females, and the
kind of a glassy-eyed caribou usually.
I was going to say the guys are drooling.
Competition eliminates all but that one male.
Yeah.
I've never had sex with a caribou.
True confessions, right,
right
here on Hour 25. I think it's a safe bet that none of us have had sex with a caribou.
Anyway.
To this, I thought I might bring up, which is that there are about, I think, twice as many, allegedly, from the statistics that psychologists compile, about twice as many male sociopaths and psychopaths as female.
Mm-hmm.
The one element that hasn't been taken into account in any of these discussions that I've heard is this incredible ability of human beings to come up with a reason for fighting, for joining together in a group opposing another group. I read about these kids in Sarajevo that have formed gangs that are throwing rocks and garbage at other gangs, and this is the central point in their life, and this is what they say, wow, just, getting this other gang over here is essential. Meanwhile, they're being shelled.
Okay, you've got one problem here. One of my stereotypic comments that I've often made is that if you had a planet with nothing but male energy, not nothing but men, because men have both female and male energy, but nothing but male energy, you'd have a burned out, blasted out shell hunted to extinction. If you had a planet with nothing but female energy, you would have a few small groups of human beings living in grass huts and temperate zones being wiped out by the first predators that came along. So if you have a society that does not enjoy the game of learning to fight, does not have that kind of aggressiveness, it's a very nice place to live, and it gets wiped out by the first warlike society that comes across it.
I have a comment on this real quick, Steve.
Yeah.
And that is, I think it goes back to those kids in Sarajevo want to make a difference. They want to make a mark.
Mm-hmm.
When they interview gang kids about why in the world do they mess up their neighborhood with marks, it's they want to let the world know they've been there.
Right.
They feel helpless. They feel that they can't make a difference. Caribou don't leave marks on the world except for decaying pieces of fecal matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Human beings do. That seems to be something that no matter whether we're male or female, it's part of our basic drive to let other people know that we have been here, that we have done something, that we haven't just been ciphers.
Right.
So I challenge you, sir, to look outside of merely sexual tendencies.
No, I'm not limiting. I'm not trying to limit the discussion.
Yeah, because you didn't say that it was gangs of boys. You just said it was gangs.
This is a factor which I haven't seen really taken into account. I think that there is a real dynamic by which
aggression is a survival characteristic. Mm-hmm. It just is. Mm-hmm. And if it weren't, then it would be a different world. But because it is, you have this kind of behavior, for at least partially, because you have people who want to make change, who want to dominate, who want to control territory. Mm-hmm. If you have a population of people who do not have that characteristic, once again, they get wiped out, their men are all killed, and their women will be impregnated by the warriors from over the mountain.
Yeah.
And the people that we call sociopaths are perhaps simply an extreme variant on this.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Look at the group dynamics, the problems that we're facing in the dimension of perhaps this is an artifact. I'm thinking, my thinking goes along the lines of, along with all the other factors that are involved, that there's an additional factor. There is the 3%, according to psychologists, of sociopaths in the population, which is a lot of people. These people tend to gravitate statistically towards positions of power over other people.
Well, you should. I spent an evening at Tehachapi State Prison okay? And you want to talk about a lot of male energy. You want to talk about a lot of guys who want to make some changes,